Hey, what's going on? JD here, and this is the Daily JD. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, remember to smash that subscribe button, hit that like, hit the bell, let people know that you're here, and join in with a conversation. Of course, over in the comments there, you can catch up with me on all my social media platforms. We've got myself at Pain Inc. on Twitter. I tweet out before I go live every day, just in case YouTube system does fail us. But thanks again for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it as always. Good to see you, Craftsmith Filmworks. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you guys are in the chat. By all means, as is tradition, feel free to ask any questions that you may have. I will be more than happy to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, because that's really what this is all about. Is it just an opportunity a couple times a week to sit down with you guys and talk about what's new, what's going on, what you have going on, happenings in YouTube, and so on and so forth, what's going on in the community, and a whole bunch of things. So again, appreciate it. Smash that like button. Good to see you, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. And of course, we have to throw our shout outs and thank all the people that support the stream over on Patreon. Of course, that is none other than Reviewface. Thanks, Reviewy, for supporting us over there. And of course, we can't forget our YouTube sponsors. That is Josh WRB and of course, Mum's Universe. That have been longtime supporters via the sponsorship thing. We appreciate that so much, guys. Appreciate it. Nick says, can you actually still call it the Daily JD? I suppose it's way catchier than the bi-weekly JD. It is much more catchier. Seeing as it started off as a daily thing, I think we'll just kind of keep it at that. To be frank, I kind of probably just stole the name off Gary V because I think he had the Daily V at one point. So we just kind of basically straight up jacked that. So that's how it works. We're just going to keep on rolling with it until, we come up with either something better or I get the time and energy to make a new title spot or anything along those lines. I like the name too, Josh. It does have a ring to it, and my name doesn't work out with a lot of stuff, to be honest, lettering and all that kind of stuff. I've been doing a lot of hand lettering and, sort of script work as of late, doing a lot of drawing. One thing that I have never, ever been able to do very well is my own name or my own logo. I just find that it just doesn't work the way that I would like it to. I think it's because I'm always doing other people's stuff, and I think that's really cool. When I come to my own, I just feel it's kind of blasé. So there you go. I know, I appreciate that, Nick. It's all good. So hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. Hopefully you are enjoying the polar vortex. Getting out there, doing some fun stuff like photographing bubbles or throwing boiling water in the air or doing like the frozen pants challenge, which if you haven't heard or seen it, it's basically taking a wet pair of pants, tossing it in the air, and you get bonus points if it freezes before it hits the ground and lands in a snowbank standing up. It's not the worst challenge I have ever heard of in the world, but it's that one at least nobody's getting hurt and everybody's just having a good time with it. But it is cold, and I hate the cold. If any of you watched the podcast on Monday, you will know that Lloyd really hates the cold. I think even more so than myself. I hate the cold. I don't like it, but I can adapt to it. Where Lloyd, I think, just doesn't want to have anything to do with it whatsoever. So, it's definitely been frigid temperatures, and I'm looking forward to a warm up, but it doesn't look like that's coming anytime soon. So it's going to keep me inside. I may not even have a vlog for next week because I don't plan on venturing out that far. That and to be frank, I basically just got back from the doctor again. In training, I got my elbow smashed. I blew up my bursa sac in my elbow. So that's going to suck for the next 6 to 8 weeks while it hopefully heals all on its good lonesome time. But that's just part and parcel of training and fight training and all that kind of stuff. You get lumps and bruises every once in a while. So there you go. Jumping back to the comments, and I have to try something new as well. For those of you who basically utilize the YouTube live stream thing, apparently if you press Alt, it will automatically stop the scrolling. So I definitely have to give that a try. It also allows you to quickly identify and delete any unwanted comments or users or so on and so forth. So just a little thing. It sort of popped up when I logged in earlier today. Nick says, it's so cold, my bear freezes every time I go outside now. You go, ice pants sounds fun. At least needs some sort of skill, luck, and that's the cool thing about it. Like I said, you know, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of funny, you know, the fact that you could get a pair of pants to land, you know, legs down in the snow and freeze solid, so it's standing up is pretty funny. And again, you know, it's nobody's gonna ultimately get hurt by this by driving blindfolded into somebody. So there you go. Josh says, just sounds like a fun challenge, which it absolutely is. Craftsman says, I did go out on Saturday to get some photos of the fresh snowfall. That is cool. Nick corrects my beard, not my bear. If your bear is freezing as well, I totally get it. You know, it's definitely cold, but the beard as well. Yeah, I mean, I have that a little bit. I get a little bit of frost, but not a ton. Even though I haven't shaved, I am getting a little bit of mustache, but that will disappear because I just don't like hair above my lip for whatever reason. So I just go, you know, the goatee route. You know, so it's good craftsmanship that you got out, got some photographs. It's, you know, it's a nice thing about winter. I mean, it does look very good for, you know, cinematography and photographs, and, you know, it does look really, really good on film. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you do have to go out and, you know, hang out in the perishing cold in order to accomplish that. So, you know, it is definitely a different kind of thing. And hopefully I'm showing that stream health is not so good. So hopefully I'm not cutting out, but if I am, so be it. So we do have some stuff upcoming. There is some bad news, I guess, for my hater. The person that's, you know, been constantly disliking my stuff over and over again. At the end of the day, you know, ultimately he's going to have some problems because YouTube is now ultimately looking at doing away with the dislike button. So what they're looking at doing is they're looking at getting rid of the dislike button. There has been a phenomenon on YouTube where there have been what have been referred to as essentially dislike mobs. So these dislike mobs are going out and massively downvoting videos, and it's causing some problems for people. And at the end of the day, you know, YouTube doesn't like that, so they are now taking a serious look at essentially what to do with dislikes. They do have a few ideas in mind currently. One of them is actually completely doing away with the dislike button, so getting rid of it 100%, and you know, not allowing people to essentially downvote videos. Part of it is to keep that part you know, completely obscured from people. You can still downvote, but, you know, essentially nobody will see it. So if you're just downvoting for the sake of downvoting, it won't necessarily matter at the end of the day. They are contemplating, which I think is the best option if they're going to keep it, is they are also contemplating keeping the dislike button, but if you do dislike it, you do have to answer why you dislike the video, which seems like a lot of work. And I'm not sure how that would effectively do it, because if you give people a bunch of multiple choice answers, I mean, it probably still won't stop people because they'll just click the first answer, and you're still getting kind of disingenuous feedback. There's also talks about not allowing somebody to dislike the video unless they've watched a certain percentage, which would be good for viewership and time watched for people. So it's interesting that they're looking at that from those regards. I think the kind of interesting thing, and this has been bounced around, and Nat was one of the people talking about this on Twitter, is ultimately, there's a strong belief that the only reason that YouTube is taking a look at this now is because they have the world's most disliked video on YouTube. Which being sort of Rewind 2018, which has had the most downvotes of any video on YouTube during its history. So there is, sort of the conspiracy theorist kind of talk that the reason that they're taking a look at this now is because they don't want to have that on the platform because it's bad for advertising. The fact that you are the platform itself, you got all these creators together, you put them together. And again, one of the criticisms of that video being that a lot of the people on there were actually Twitch streamers versus YouTubers. And at the end of the day, putting that out, your advertisers see that you put out the most disliked video on the platform. It doesn't give a lot of confidence necessarily to advertisers there. To the same extent, it's kind of good because YouTube gets a taste of, sort of their medicine and gets some direct feedback, knowing the community was none too happy about that. So it is interesting, sort of case, how I feel about it. And I'm curious through how you guys feel in the comments below, and I'll get to those in a second, how you feel about it getting rid of. Me, for myself, I don't feel that the dislike button serves really any kind of purpose, unless they are going to take that for you personally. And what I mean by that is, if I'm watching videos or you're watching videos and you come across, let's say, this channel, and you decide, I don't like the video, I'm going to hit the thumbs down. All that should be telling the algorithm is, you never want to see one of my videos again, essentially. That, this is not what you want to watch. These are the kind of videos that I don't want to see. And I get that from that standpoint. I mean, that's, essentially, getting good feedback. No different than, sort of rating things on Netflix and, based on your viewership, what they're going to put in front of you. I kind of get that from that point. From any other point, if you look at any other social media platform, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Minds, Dayflash, all these different platforms, none of them have the option to downvote. So, I mean, again, you can still get hate on those platforms. I'm not saying that, it's not going to get rid of trolls. It's not going to get anything like that. But what it does is it, getting rid of the dislike button gives, especially because you're not tagged to it, gives away, sort of the people, the opportunity to do it, sort of anonymously. So if they go and they dislike something, it's not like they hit dislike and nobody's ever going to know. In fact, YouTube could implement something that Facebook does, is if you like it, you can see a list of who liked it. And if you disliked it, you can see a list of who disliked it, which is, I think, maybe a better way, and a way to discourage people, because especially if you're a creator and you're going around and disliking everybody's videos, there'll probably be some retribution at some point, or payback. Somebody will be going through the list and saying, why this guy dislike it? Go see your stuff and dislike your stuff. But, that's, again, sort of a little bit, further into that. But, ultimately, I don't find that dislikes give me any kind of feedback. Again, if I got some sort of feedback why somebody dislikes something, like, I don't like your filming style, I think JD's an asshole, Lloyd's annoying, whatever the case may be, whatever, sort of feedback it is, we could definitely take that. I mean, constructive or not, at least we kind of have an understanding. And I mean, for us, it means that we can basically either dismiss it as, that guy's just a hater, that guy's a dick, that guy actually has a valid point and maybe something we should look at, because, that resonates with us. It gives you an opportunity to correct sort of the direction that you're going. So I'm going to jump to the comments here, take a look. I don't know why they hung the dislike button for so long. No one else has it. Exactly. Just the way to hate. Yeah, since no other social media has one, it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't help the creator because there's no feedback why it's disliked. And that's, 100% right. Like, that's, I think it's good that they're taking a look at it. I think it's kind of funny that it took a video of their own production to be disliked so much for them to go, okay, maybe we need to take a look at this. Again, it's not the end of the world. Dislike is definitely not the end of the world. I mean, I have tons of dislikes on this channel. I have some videos that outrank likes to or dislikes to likes by like 10-1. So I mean, it is what it is, and I mean, even that video that has been hated on so much, which is a vlog that people just cannot stand. I think it's got like 150 some dislikes to like 10 or so likes at this juncture, but it keeps on getting shown to people. So I mean, I'm not going to take it down. I mean, one of the things that they have mentioned is that if you don't like the likes and dislikes, that you can actually manually turn them off, so you don't have the opportunity to do that. I mean, of course, you kind of want them there to gauge to see how much people enjoy it. I do that myself personally. I like to see how many likes it generates. I mean, the dislikes I just take with a grain of salt, and they're going to show up. But, at the end of the day, gives you some sort of feedback. You look at a percentage of kind of how many people watched it and how many people, took the time to at least hit the thumbs up. So there you go. As soon as they have a look at them themselves, finally take a good look. Tommy Wiseau's next film is a shark attack movie titled Big Shark. What do you think about that? We'll get to that in a second. Nick says, oh my God, he's a weird, lovable character. Acting and writing so bad. Watch Best Friends, written by... There we go. So I guess we can jump into that. Titled Big Shark. Big Shark. So, shark movies are fun. It's, it's a simplistic title. It'll do well. I mean, I think everybody likes, a good shark movie. The last shark movie I actually saw with Josh was The Meg, which was, I mean, you have to go into those movies, knowing what to expect. I mean, if you expect, some award-winning acting and, some Oscar-nominated kind of production, you're not going to get it. If you just go in there with a big bag of popcorn, know it's going to be ridiculous and have fun. They're great movies. They're a blast. It's really, really fun to watch. And I mean, The Meg was completely predictable, although it did have, sort of the red herring in there that throws you for just a second, until you realize how it's sort of building up after that. But, again, they're super fun. So, I mean, anybody that's going to make a shark movie, and especially call it Big Shark, I think is going to take, kind of a slapstick kind of approach, which I do enjoy, because I enjoy movies like Army of Darkness or The Evil Dead, horror movies that don't take themselves so seriously, because I think, at the end of the day, you're not going to build necessarily a big suspenseful kind of thriller. So, you may as well, own what it's going to be and let the audience know up front, and it will be a good time. So, I mean, it'll just, at the end of the day, it'll just be a ton of fun. And that's what you have to expect from movies like that. A lot of people will go into a movie like that and it's like, oh, it's terrible, the acting's terrible and all that kind of stuff. If you're walking out of the movie and you're complaining about it like that, you went in my opinion, with the wrong attitude. Yeah, the acting may have been terrible, there must have been, terrible plot holes and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, was it fun? Where the buildups, the scares, all that kind of stuff, was it fun? That's what makes it enjoyable. And, if you can throw a little comedy in there, it's only going to help that a little bit, in my opinion. I mean, obviously it's not everybody's cup of tea, but definitely, there you go. Dude, a Tommy Wiseau film makes Army of Darkness look like Ben-Hur. It's all good, man. It's all good. I tried to copy The Room. His website sucks. Can't do it. Then he uploaded it in YouTube before Christmas, so I downloaded it there. That's awesome. I think it'll be fun. best friends with Greg Stero. We came in town. It was bad. And there you go. So what else do we have there? Have you sat down and watched? Have you actually sat down and watched a Tommy Wiseau film though? I have not. I have not sat down and watched one of his films. You know, I typically I'll go to the theater every once in a while, but I don't get stuck. I'm so behind on shit. It's not even funny. I am so behind on viewing absolutely everything. I mean, at this point, you know, things that I haven't watched. I haven't watched The Punisher. I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I haven't watched Daredevil. I haven't watched so much stuff. I'm not even like caught up with Marvel movies, and I'm a huge comic guy. I'm just like way behind. I haven't watched the Teen Titans. I haven't watched, you know, you name it. You know, I pretty much have not watched it. You know, it's kind of, I just find that I don't have the time to sit down, and then usually if I'm going to do it, it's later at night, and especially now with my new schedule change, I'm definitely you know, watching TV for maybe 15, 20 minutes, half an hour in a day, and that's kind of it. The rest of the time I'm doing stuff or working. So I mean, there is not, you know, that, you know, every once in a while I'll take kind of the time out to go to the theater, and that's when I watch, you know, kind of stuff. I think the last flick that I watched was Aquaman, which I was actually pleasantly surprised how good it was. And I hate to say it, but quite possibly the best, most definitely the best current DC movie, quite possibly, you know, up there with the DC movies other than The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was done really, really well. But generally speaking, you know, most DC movies absolutely suck. And Aquaman, you know, as a character, I think I've never liked him. You know, he was kind of the joke, you know, of the Justice League, you know, the cartoon you watched when you were like really, really young, that was out in the early, you know, kind of 70s. You know, you'd watch that, and Aquaman was just, he was boring. You know, he'd kind of shoot that little ring thing that went off his head and talk to the fish, and he would like ride flying fish on his feet. Like, oh my God. Terrible. But, you know, I have to say that they did a really good job of it. And, you know, it's I enjoyed the movie, which I never thought I would ever say about any Aquaman DC property ever. So good on them. And I mean, if they can follow suit with some of their other, you know, franchises that are in that, you know, sort of realm for DC, maybe they'll actually have a good run for the money, because, you know, Marvel is definitely stepping up the game and doing a good job there as well. Going back to the comments, there's nothing crap in theaters right now. I haven't actually taken a look. We binge watched Russian Doll on Netflix the past 2 nights. I haven't watched that either. So good. I'll probably watch it at some point, probably 5 years from now, but we'll get there. Just really fun. James Wan knows how to make a good movie. He does. Like I said, they did a really good job with Aquaman, and you know, I think that you know, from what I could tell, the audience enjoyed it as well. So I mean, again, super cool. Just wait for the new Static Shock movie. There you go. So some other changes coming to YouTube. Some good news for smaller subscribers out there. So if you are a YouTuber under the number of 10,000, they are adding a new tab to the app on the phone specifically that is going to focus on creators under 10,000 subscribers. So that is really, really cool that YouTube has decided to take that on. It's nice that they have essentially gone that route. Susan, and I can never remember her last name. I want to call her Wozniak, but it's Wojcicki or something like that. The CEO of YouTube she sort of recapped 2018, what they accomplished in 2018. And she also let go of some 2019 goals. One of those is supporting creators and artist success. Again, so they are basically putting a tab in there to help promote creators under 10,000, which is nice because that is something that has never really kind of existed on YouTube and, being found via the algorithm, it's like getting, it's like fishing in the ocean, with no bait. It's going to be really hard to catch something at that point. But it's good to see that, and I'm not sure the criteria of how they're going to do it. Again, it's just on the phone, which is unfortunate because I personally never watch YouTube videos on my phone ever, unless they get sent to me. So I don't utilize the app at all. But everybody that does, I mean, it gives them an opportunity to find new people, which is good because, if you take a look at your analytics, a good chunk of your viewership probably comes from mobile because it's it's a device that everybody has. Everybody doesn't necessarily have a computer. They don't necessarily have an iPad. They don't necessarily have a laptop. They most likely have a phone just out of, number one, sheer necessity, and number two, because a lot of times when you sign up for plans, they give them away. So it will give you a, opportunity to be seen otherwise. So I think it's a good initiative. I don't, know if it's going to have a huge effect on people, if they're going to gain tons and tons of subscribers, or they're going to get tons and tons of views out of this. It just, basically opens things up to, finding a new audience. So there you go. Love the new edition. Not officially, no, but give them time, considering popular Black Panther was. There you go. Feels like YouTube is trying for the small guy. It is. And again, that's part of their 2019 goals. She only released kind of 3 goals, or from the article that I saw, that basically they had the 3 goals. And the 3 goals for 2019 YouTube that they laid out was supporting creators and artists' success, improving communication and engagement, and living up to our responsibility. It's interesting that they've sort of gone that route. These goals are like super vague, to be honest. It's kind of like, hey, we're going to do this. And it's really, really broad. It's not very, very specific. It's great that, the sentiment is there. If they are in fact listening, that is absolutely awesome. I will say that, my interactions with Team YouTube, with a couple interactions, I did get responses back. One was, very, very fast. The other one, not so fast. It was interesting because they basically, the one that I actually complained about was last year when they released a video of a individual getting choked to death in his, when he was in prison. And the Calgary Sun released that footage, which absolutely shocked me. They showed the whole thing, and I thought it was a little inappropriate to have it kind of posted on YouTube and just kind of let them know that maybe having a video of somebody being murdered on your platform is probably a lot worse off than some of the other things, the stupid things that happen, or the stupid pranks, or whatever the case may be. But ultimately, the ironic part of it is that video got left there. They age-gated, and that was the final result. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting sometimes to see these things play out, and it's kind of interesting, how it all works. I mean, obviously, the bigger the, sort of media shitstorm around stuff, the more likely things happen, So when people get super upset about things like the Logan Paul video last year, obviously action gets taken right away, not only by the platform, but the creator. But, when it's a news media outlet and, sort of they throw that out there, I get it. I mean, I understand that, the media has to show things that aren't necessarily good, but you don't have to show something like that in its entirety, is my point. So there you go. Nick says, creators under 10,000, most of us, I bet will have to qualify by being between 9,000 and 10,000 to qualify for the bump. That is quite possible. Who knows how they're going to figure that out. Hopefully they reward people that are consistently, sort of contributing, videos to the platform. I mean, obviously, if you join today and post a video tomorrow, hopefully, those aren't the people that are necessarily getting featured. Hopefully there's a little bit of meat and potatoes and substance to their channels, and you know, that it's rewarding people in those regards. So there you go. The murder video is still up. That's crazy. Last I checked, that is absolutely crazy that that still remains up. I have not looked at some time. I mean, it's just one of those really, really kind of questionable things, I think, that happens out there. Again, so if you do have any questions, by all means, throw them in the chat. That's kind of everything that I had, you know, to talk about for today. You know, February's going well, obviously, other than injuring myself further or a different part of my body, which just, you know, seems to be the way it goes with me in action sports and full contact sports and all that kind of fun. You know, as far as training goes, that's going well. But before I talk about that, I'm just going to quickly click the play ad button. So if you do see an ad, that is why, but we'll still be here when you get back. And if not, you will probably just hear me ramble on about, you know, basically training. So, I mean, I committed earlier, basically got the Peloton bike, committed to 5 a.m. in the morning to train every day. I have bumped things up. I am now doing climb rides, which I like doing on bikes anyways. I like, you know, sort of doing climbs and climbing hills. It's sadistic and torture, but I enjoy it at the end of the day. So I've been doing climb rides as well as interval training, which is good. They have a lady on there that runs classes that is a velodrome instructor, which is cool. I can relate a lot to athletes and their training systems because, you know, it was a big part of my life. So I like how they have it structured. It sings, you know, to my athletic soul, even though I might not be, you know, the athlete that I once was. But things are going well. Last month, over 400 kilometers. In the last 4 days, I've done 100 kilometers. So we're slowly ramping things up. Like I said, I did my first hour climb ride. And when I mean climb ride, I mean it is climbing a hill for an hour straight. You know, and that's a challenge, which is good. And I feel myself getting stronger, and you know, hopefully we can continue to build that. And the ultimate goal is get back on the mountain bike. And if that happens, you'll definitely see that on the channel because I'll probably get back into filming it. Although I won't be doing the extreme stuff that I used to. Although chances are I will still be riding some pretty interesting trails. So if you're into that stuff, by all means, you know, you can do that. I probably end up cycling with guys like Riley, who's sometimes in the chat here, and you know, he used to basically ride. Well, he still does ride, you know, somewhat professionally. As well as a couple other friends that are professional riders. So probably, you know, start doing that. But as we all get older, we kind of tone things down. So the only difference is they haven't stopped where I have. So that's probably a good thing. So, you know, we'll keep on doing that and, you know, working towards. And again, you know, if you watched, it was the video 2 weeks ago, you know, basically, if you're working on something, you know, break things into, you know, sort of actionable pieces. You know, don't, you know, set, you know, I'm going to land on Mars as your goal. You know, set it as things that you can accomplish, take steps, you know, sort of look back, reevaluate, move forward, and you'll continue to be successful. And, you know, it's just those little things, those small victories that, that help. And I mean, to be honest, you know, getting back on the bike and riding has helped me, you know, not only with, you know, my physical, you know, capacity, it also helps me just throughout my day. You know, normally I am up at, before I started waking up at 5, normally I was up at, you know, 6 or 7 was when I like to start my day because I like to start work by at least 8 o'clock, you know. But, you know, there was like 3 coffees involved and I was out, you know, it's just thing, you know, at least this way I'm up and I'm alert and I'm going. It means I go to sleep a lot earlier. My night owl tendencies, which I am typically, are completely wiped out. I'm usually asleep. Every once in a while I'll stay up, like last night I stayed up and played some Fortnite with Mr. Josh WRB over on Twitch. I think we had a good little run last night. So I mean, that was fun. I've been playing a ton of video games other than Call of Duty. I, kind of reneged on my Twitch stream again. I was going to stream at least once a week, which doesn't happen. That's always the first thing to go to me. But, here he goes. Hey, good to see you, Woodrow. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, it was a good squad. I realize and I apologize. My language, probably not the best for a PG stream. But that's sadly my personality sometimes. Usually I've been really good. Anytime that I've been on Josh's stream, I think Josh will back me up here. Other than last night, I am generally a saint. I don't say a bad word out of my mouth, which I'm like totally impressed with. Yesterday they just kind of came out, and that's that's it. It's like when I smashed my elbow, the first thing out of my mouth was motherfucker, and then I just dug in. So there you go. But again, appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will obviously be back on Thursday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you find something that you want to discuss on our next stream, by all means, shoot me a note on Twitter. Let me know what's interesting to you, what you want to talk about. Josh says being a family friendly is too much work, and I don't think I really can, to be honest. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I could try harder to be a much more PG kind of presentator, but it's work for me. I have to actually think about what I'm saying instead of just saying what I feel like I should be saying. So, that's why I kind of go on the unfiltered department. So, again, YouTube's looking at the dislike thing. If you go into your Studio Beta Studio, you will see the video there where they're talking about it. They are looking for feedback from creators. So if they are in line with their plans for 2019 and their goals, which is open communication with creators, by all means, go over there. Let them know what you think of, sort of the whole no dislike or changing the way that dislikes works, or if you have an idea, like I said, with showing people's names underneath, who's done what, by all means, go over and make your voice heard. It's an opportunity to give some feedback. I will say that sort of these monthly videos that they are putting out and making available to creators through your Studio Beta, you will see them on the sort of main page when you're there. It is a good idea to watch them. They are a good source of information, as well as, again, it's an opportunity to give feedback. And the fact that YouTube is now at least on the outside saying, hey, we want some feedback, it is always best to take the best of that opportunity, because they could change their mind tomorrow. And again, it gives you, some input, hopefully, on the direction that things go. And I think that is, really, really important, with anywhere that you are trying to establish yourself. And especially if you are, doing things like making money off it, it's part of, your business. So make sure that you are heard. So again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it as always. And until next time, see ya.